Rain hit the metal roof like falling nails. Leora stood behind the security gate, her hands trembling as she held a small child's toy, an old, cracked plastic rabbit. The sky above was dark, filled with heavy clouds and the glow of shuttle engines. The sound of roaring thrusters drowned everything around her. People moved in silence, watching the last transport lift into the storm. The wind blew her long coat around her legs, but she didn't move. She couldn't. That was the last time she saw him. Commander Elias Reyes, her husband, a soldier and father to their little girl, had looked back just once before stepping onto the shuttle ramp. His face was pale, tired, but determined. "I'll bring her back," he'd said, touching her cheek. That was 9 years ago. Now, the walls of the command center were cold and gray. Everything smelled like burnt plastic and stale air. Leora stood quietly, staring at the flickering screen. A red dot blinked, then it blinked again. "Run the scan again," she said, voice sharp. The young officer nodded and tapped on the controls. A soft hum filled the room as the system rescanned. The sector. 9 years, no signal, no noise. The world was listed as dark, meaning dead or off limits. No ships, no contact, no return. And now, a human signal, faint, broken, but real. The officer swallowed. "Same result, Doctor. Same beacon code as before. It's him. It's Reyes ID." Leora took a slow breath. Her hands curled into fists. Everyone in the room went silent. General Voss, an older man with cybernetic eyes, stepped beside her. "We're not sure what it means. Could be a malfunction. Could be a trap. You know the Thesari. They play games." "I know his voice," Leora said. "That's not a game," Voss hesitated. "You think he's alive? After all this time?" Leora didn't answer. She stared at the blinking red dot. Her eyes didn't move. "Prep a ship," she said. "I'm going down there." Flashback. 9 years ago, the research station was under attack. Sirens screamed across the halls. Gunfire echoed through the steel walls. Leora had barely escaped the lab when she saw them, tall, pale creatures with glowing eyes and thin, sharp arms. Thesari. They weren't supposed to be hostile. They came to study, to learn. But something changed. They took their daughter. In the chaos, Reyes had chased after them. Leora wanted to go too, but he had stopped her. "You get to the evac shuttle," he'd said. "I'll bring her back." She remembered the way his armor looked damaged, scorched. His hands were shaking, but his eyes were steady. He kissed her forehead. Then he ran into the burning halls. The station exploded 5 minutes later. Present day, landing zone. The planet was worse than she remembered. Once called Telsur 9, it was rich in minerals and research samples. Now it was just ash and silence. From orbit, it looked like a dead moon, black scars across its surface. No cities, no signs of life. Leora stepped off the shuttle with a sealed helmet. Boots crunching against burnt rock. The wind here didn't whistle. It groaned. Her small team followed 2 Marines, 1 scout, and a droid. They scanned the area as the shuttle pulled back to standby orbit. "There's a signal this way," the scout said. "1 click north. Could be underground." "Let's move," Leora ordered. The bunker, after 1 hour of walking through ruins and fire-scorched ground. They found it. Half buried under black sand was a door. "Not Thesari tech. Human. Looks like a survival bunker," the Marine said. "But this model's outdated. Way before your husband's time." Leora knelt by the keypad. It was covered in dust and burn marks. But she saw something that stopped her breath. Scratched into the metal beside the keypad was a SYMBOL, a rabbit. A child's rabbit. Her hand reached for the toy in her pocket, the same one she'd held 9 years ago. It was missing an ear. So was the one in the drawing. She didn't say a word. Just nodded to the Marine. "Open it." The door hissed and cracked. The seal was weak, but still holding. Inside, it was pitch dark. Lights flickered slowly to life. There was no furniture, only walls covered in carvings. Strange writing, part human, part alien. A soft hum played from an old speaker in the corner. Leora froze. Then came the voice. If you're hearing this, they're still watching. I had no choice. I had to change. To survive. But she's safe. She's still human. Mostly. The recording ended. Silence again. The Marine looked around nervously. That was Reyes? Leora didn't answer. She moved forward and found a small child's drawing stuck to the wall with old tape. A man, a woman, and a little girl standing together. The faces were round and smiling, but one thing was strange. The sky behind them wasn't Earth. It was the black, cracked sky of this planet. Later that night, inside the bunker, the team camped in silence. The Marines set up light barriers, and the droids scanned the walls. Leora sat alone near the back room, staring at the child's drawing again. She remembered the way her daughter used to draw. Always big heads, tiny legs. Always suns with smiling faces. This one had no sun, only two moons and a shadow floating in the sky. What happened to you? She whispered. What did they do to you? Her hands touched the toy rabbit again. The plastic felt warm from her palm. Behind her, the scout approached. Dr. Leora, you should see this. He led her into a side chamber. There, deep inside the wall, was a second layer of writing. Hidden by paint, but revealed by the droid's sensors. This wasn't human writing. It was the Sari code. But the strange thing? It looked unfinished. As if someone had started learning it, but never fully accepted it. A half-human, half-alien script. A blend of two languages, a broken code. Who was trying to write this? The scout asked. Leora stared at it for a long time. My daughter, she said quietly. She was trying to speak both. The next morning, a new signal as the sun rose weak and red over the dead land. The droid picked up another ping. New signal. It said, closer than before, not from this bunker. Leora stood immediately. Direction? West. Half a click, faint but steady. The Marines geared up. No one spoke. Everyone felt the change in the air. The dead planet didn't feel so dead anymore. As they walked, the wind grew louder. The ground started to tremble lightly under their boots. What is that noise? The Marine asked. Leora narrowed her eyes. Heartbeat, she said. The final scene, part 1 ending. They reached the edge of a broken cliff. Below, hidden in shadow and cracked metal, was a massive crater. At the center, something glowed soft. Green light pulsing like a heartbeat. It wasn't human tech. It wasn't Thazari either. It was something new. And standing beside it was a figure, armored, still, watching them, too far to see clearly. But Leora knew that shape, that stance, that silence. She stepped forward, tears in her eyes, her voice breaking. Elias. The figure didn't move. Then, in a voice carried by wind and static, she heard it. You shouldn't have come. Smoke floated across the broken cliffs like ghost fingers. The sun above was weak, red, and dying. It painted the land in blood-colored light. Leora stood at the edge of the crater, staring down at the glowing structure below. Her breath caught. Her mind screamed. But her feet wouldn't move. The figure was still there, tall, armored, unmoving. She knew that shape, that stillness, that silence. It was him. Commander Elias Reyes. Her husband, the man who vanished 9 years ago. He looked straight up at her from the glowing pit, his armor scratched and scorched. His helmet hid his face, but not his presence. Not to her. Then his voice came through the wind, broken and weak. You shouldn't have come. Silence followed. The Marine beside Leora raised his weapon. Man, do you want us to engage? No. Leora snapped. No weapons. Lower it now. The soldier hesitated, then obeyed. Leora stepped forward, carefully climbing down the rocky slope. Every step hurt. Her knees trembled. Her heart beat faster than it had in years. The others followed, slowly, weapons ready, but not aimed at, as they reached the bottom. The glowing structure pulsed softly behind Reyes. It was made of a strange metal, smooth, like glass, but alive. It had no seams, no doors, it just breathed. Like a lung, Reyes stood between them and the structure. Leora stopped 10 meters away from him. "Elias," she said quietly, "it's really you." He didn't answer. The wind howled through the crater. Dust swirled between them. Then he spoke, voice tired and heavy. "I told you to stay away. I told them not to send anyone." Leora shook her head. "No one sent me. I came for you." For her. At that, Reyes moved slightly. "She's safe," he said. "She's here, but she's different now." Inside the structure, without a word, Reyes turned and walked toward the glowing wall. It opened silently for him, like it knew him. The metal rippled like water. He turned back. "You want answers?" he said. "Come inside." But only her, no soldiers. The Marines didn't like that. "Doctor, this could be a trap." Leora raised her hand. "Stay here, that's an order." She walked forward. The wall rippled as she passed through. Inside, the light changed. It was soft, golden, and warm. The walls hummed like a heartbeat. There were no doors, no wires, no machines, but everything felt alive. Reyes stood near a curved wall. "She's in the next chamber," he said. "She's not a child anymore." Leora's voice shook. "What happened to her? What happened to you?" He didn't answer right away. Then he sat down on the floor. The story he told. "They took her because of her brain," he said. "The Thessari believe in something called the shift. They think certain minds can change reality, not just through machines, but through thought. They thought our daughter had that power. They said she was close to the edge, whatever that means. They tried to rewire her, connect her to their system. A living network, a hive mind. I stopped them. But not before they started." Leora stared at him, barely breathing. She was 5 years old. "I know," Reyes said, his voice full of pain. "They used dreams, visions, alien chemicals, but she fought them. Even then, she was strong. She held onto your face, your voice. That's what saved her." Leora covered her mouth. "Where is she now?" Reyes stood up slowly. "She's waiting for you." The first meeting after 9 years, the next chamber was quiet. A soft light filled the air, and there, sitting cross-legged on a smooth floor, was a girl. She looked 12, maybe 13. Her hair was long, dark, and tangled. Her clothes were stitched from old fabric and alien material. She was humming a soft, strange tune. She turned when Leora entered. Her eyes weren't normal. One was blue. The other was glowing faintly green. She smiled. "Hi, Mom," she said. Leora dropped to her knees. Tears fell before she could stop them. "Raya," she whispered. "My baby." Raya stood up and walked forward. Leora hugged her tight. The girl was real warm, breathing, alive. "I waited so long," Raya whispered. "I kept hearing you in my sleep." "I'm here now," Leora said. "I'm not leaving without you." But Raya gently pulled back. I can't leave. Not yet." The truth about the planet. Back in the chamber, Reyes stood by the wall, hand pressed against the metal. "This place isn't just a shelter," he explained. "It's a seed," Leora frowned. "What do you mean?" "The Thessari weren't just studying us. They were preparing something. This planet is part of a larger network, living tech buried deep inside. It connects to minds, learns from them. And once it learns enough," he looked at Leora with tired eyes, "it wakes up." "You mean it's alive?" "More than that, it's aware. And our daughter is now linked to it." Leora shook her head. "Then we cut the link. We take her home." Raya stepped beside her. "If I leave now, the system won't understand. It will think humans are enemies. It will wake up angry. and it will spread. Leora stared at her. You're just a child. No. Rhea said, not anymore. I remember things I've never seen. I know thoughts that aren't mine. But I'm still me, Mom, I promise. A choice. Reyes pulled out a small device. This is a memory core, he said. It holds the translation key, the bridge between their code and ours. If we give it to Earth, we can understand them. Maybe stop a war. But if we remove it from here, the planet will go dark. Forever. It will shut down. And Raya's connection might break. Leora looked at both of them. So you're asking me to choose? Reyes nodded. Her safety. Or a future we might not survive. Leora turned to Raya. What do you want? Raya hesitated. Then she said, I want to go home, but not until I finish what I started. Back outside. Trouble begins. The ground shook. Outside, the Marines were on alert. The sky had changed. Dark clouds gathered fast, and lightning cracked across the horizon. The scout ran to the edge of the crater. Doctor, we've got movement, lots of it. From the distance, machines marched forward, ancient Thessari guardians. Awakened by something. Hundreds of them. The Marine commander shouted, we need to evacuate. Now, inside the structure, Reyes turned sharply. They know we're here, he said. Something triggered the defense grid. Leora grabbed Raya's hand. Can we shut it down? Raya's eyes glowed, brighter. Yes. But you need to trust me. The shutdown. Reyes handed Leora the memory core. Take this. If we fail, at least Earth will have a chance. He turned to Raya. Guide us. They ran through the glowing halls as alarms began to sound low, deep, alien tones. The walls changed color, red and black, like veins pulsing in fear. Raya placed her hand on a central pillar. She whispered something in the Thessari tongue. The entire room responded. A beam of light shot upward into the sky. The machines outside stopped. Froze. Then, one by one, they shut down. Silence returned. But the structure began to dim. The lights faded. The warmth vanished. Raya fell to her knees. Raya! Leora caught her. I'm okay, she whispered. It just took a lot. Farewell. Back at the crater's edge, the shuttle returned. The Marines helped load equipment and prepared to lift off. Leora stood with Raya by the ramp. Reyes stood apart, arms crossed. You're not coming? Leora asked. He shook his head. My body's too far gone. I'm half machine now, half this planet. I stay, or the balance breaks. He stepped forward and touched Raya's cheek. You'll be stronger than both of us. Raya hugged him tight. Then, Leora held him one last time. I never stopped waiting, she whispered. I never stopped trying, he replied. As the shuttle rose, Reyes stood alone in the crater, watching the sky fade into silver. Ending scene, part 2. Close, on the shuttle. Rhea looked out the window. She held the memory core in her hands. It's not over, she said softly. Leora nodded. I know. Rhea looked up. They'll come looking. The Thessari. Or something worse. Leora wrapped an arm around her. Then they'll find us ready. Behind them, the burned planet shrank into the distance, but something deep inside it still pulsed soft, slow, and waiting. The stars outside the shuttle window drifted slowly, silent, cold. Raya sat by the glass, hugging her knees. Her hair covered part of her face, but her glowing green eye reflected off the window like a silent question. Leora watched her daughter, unsure what to say. 9 years of pain, fear, and wondering had ended, but something else had begun. Raya was home, but not the same. She wasn't the same child who had been taken, and whatever she brought back with her wasn't human. The debrief room, orbital station, Zora 7. The shuttle docked smoothly at the outer rim of Earth's deep space station. Inside, white walls glowed under soft blue lights. Doctors and soldiers waited to see the girl everyone had spoken about on secure channels, the girl who had returned from a dead planet, the one they called the hybrid. Liara sat beside her daughter in a glass-walled room. A camera watched from the corner. They weren't free. Not yet. Commander Cyril entered. She was tall, strict, and not easily moved. She looked at Raya like she was a machine. "You were taken by the Thessari," Cyril said. "And now you speak their language. You have their code in your DNA. What should we call you?" Raya tilted her head, expression unreadable. "You can call me human," she said. Cyril frowned. "You carry alien tech in your blood. You speak. In your sleep-in frequencies only machines can hear. You're not fully one of us anymore." Raya smiled softly. "But I still love my mom." That silence said more than anything else. Flashback. Reyes and the city of Glassback. On the surface of Tulsar 9 years earlier, Reyes moved through the ruined city. The Thessari did not build with metal or bricks. Their cities were grown structures, made from biotech, shaped like bones and spires, humming with energy. The city of Shalmor had once floated above the land. Now it was cracked, burning, fallen. Reyes found Raya in a glass chamber surrounded by alien priests. They floated. They whispered. Her small body lay in a glowing pod. She wasn't sleeping. She was dreaming. Dreams shared across hundreds of minds. He fought his way through, weapon burning red from overload. His armor cracked, his arm broken. But he reached her. And when he touched the pod, she opened her eyes. One human. One alien. The priest screamed. Back to present. The test in the station's testing chamber. Raya was placed in a sterile cube. Her hands were connected to machines that read brainwaves, emotions, and memory. Liara watched through a glass wall, angry and helpless. The scientists spoke in low voices. "She's stabilizing the systems by thought alone. No one's done that before. Her neural patterns are shifting. She's accessing code buried in our own tech. That's not normal. She's more valuable than we imagined." Liara stepped forward. "She's not a weapon. She's a child." The lead scientist didn't look up. "She's both." Raya's escape, the dreaming room that night. Alarms sounded across the station. Liara woke to flashing red lights and screaming voices. "Security breach. Section 4 compromised." She ran to the testing floor, doors sealed, guards unconscious. Inside the cube, Raya stood in the center, eyes glowing bright. Her hands were out, palms facing the wall. The metal around her was bending, warping, like it was breathing. Then snap, it all stopped. She collapsed. Liara reached her daughter first. "I just wanted quiet," Raya whispered. "They kept poking at my thoughts." Liara held her tight. "We're leaving." Escape and pursuit. They took a small shuttle, hidden on the underside of the station. A sympathetic engineer helped them. He had lost a daughter too. But Earth Command didn't let them go quietly. 2 interceptors followed them, demanding surrender. Liara kept calm, flying through asteroid fields and dead zones. Her hands were steady, but her heart raced. In the back seat, Raya pressed her hand to the wall. The ship's engine changed tone. Suddenly, it moved faster. Too fast. Like something had pulled it forward. They escaped. No one knew how. Sanctuary. The old research post. They landed on an old research station on Gelner 3. Long abandoned. The place was dark and dusty, but safe for now. Liara cleaned the bed and gave Raya food. They sat together. "Just like old times. You've changed," Liara said gently. Raya looked down. "I still remember my favorite story," she said. "The one you used to tell me. About the fox and the falling star." Liara smiled. "You made me repeat it every night." "I still hear it sometimes," Raya whispered. "Even in the network." Liara blinked. "The Thessari network?" Raya nodded. "It's still alive. Sleeping, but connected. I hear parts of it. Not all. They're afraid. Not of us, of what I became." The truth revealed. Thessari's plan. Raya began to draw with her finger in the dust on the floor. Circles, lines, patterns. Wasn't guessing. She remembered. The Thesari weren't trying to destroy humans, she explained. They were afraid we'd destroy ourselves first. They saw something in us, something chaotic. So they wanted to fix us. By turning children like me into bridges between minds, Leora stared. You mean they were trying to evolve us? Raya nodded, but they couldn't control it. I changed faster than they expected. I started hearing them, all of them, and I knew their secrets. They're not gone. They're waiting, Leora swallowed. For what? Raya looked up, for me to finish the connection. The message, a soft chime echoed through the station. An old terminal came to life. Message. Incoming. Encrypted. Ancient format. Raya walked over and touched the screen. The message unfolded not in human language, but in symbols that danced and shifted. She. Read them aloud. They say, the eyes of Shelmore have opened. We have seen the bridge. Return, or the silence ends. Leora stepped beside her. What does it mean? Raya's face was calm. They know I'm alive. And they want me to finish what they started. Decision time. Leora sat by the broken window, watching distant stars. She had found her daughter. She had lost her husband again. Now she faced a new war, a war of minds, of code, of voices no one else could hear. What do you want to do? She asked. Raya stood near the console, arms crossed. I want to speak to them, she said, on my terms. They'll try to change you again. Raya shook her head. They already did. But I changed them too. They don't control me anymore. Leora looked up. Then I'll go with you. Raya smiled. Closing scene. Part 3 ending. The stars blinked softly in the sky above. Raya climbed the hill outside the station, her hands glowing with faint green light. She closed her eyes. And the stars changed. They moved slightly but enough. A signal pulsed through the void. An ancient one. A door was opening, between species, between minds, and this time, it wasn't war that would pass through. It was her. The air on Gelner 3 was thin and cold. Wind howled across the rocky hills, carrying dust and broken whispers. Leora stood at the edge of a broken antenna dish, wrapped in an old thermal coat. She looked at the sky. Her daughter was somewhere nearby talking to something no one else could see or hear. A message had gone out the night before. A signal, not meant for human ears, and now something had answered. The response inside the old station. Lights flickered on. Raya sat on the floor, eyes closed, hands glowing faint green. Her voice was soft, but her words were not in any human language. The air around her pulsed. Machines that hadn't worked in years suddenly hummed to life. A screen lit up on the far wall. Unknown code scrolled across it. Leora ran in, confused and breathless. What's happening? Raya didn't open her eyes. They answered. Who? The ones who were sleeping. Flashback. A forgotten lab deep beneath the surface of Tulsar 9 years ago. Reyes had followed strange signals through crumbling tunnels. At the end, he found a lab. Not Thesari. Not human. Older. The walls were covered in carvings, thousands of them. A single sentence repeated over and over. The mind that learns too fast must be guided or broken. Inside a sealed room, he found a sphere. It floated. It glowed, and it spoke to him. It didn't use words. It used memories. His daughter's laughter, Leora's voice, the scream of a falling station. He touched it, and it changed him. It marked him. From that day, he was never fully human again. Present, the awakening signal back on Gelner 3. The broken station lit up room by room. Lights blinked in a pattern. Terminals synced together. Old drives spun to life. Raya finally opened her eyes. They're sending a signal back, she said. But not just to us. It's going across the network. What network? Leora asked. The one under every dead planet. The one built before the Thesari. Liara's blood ran cold. You mean there's something older than them? Raya nodded. They called it the Deep Code. The Thesari didn't create it. They found it, then tried to use it. They failed, and now it's listening again. Earth Command intercepts thousands of miles away. On Earth's military moonbase, alarms went off. A junior officer pointed at a blinking map. Sir, we've picked up an alien signal same pulse as the Thesari, but older. It's jumping through satellites. Commander Cyril stepped forward. Location? Gelner 3. That's where Liara and the girl went. Cyril narrowed her eyes. Prepare a team, quietly. No open channels. No panic. One general in the back spoke up. You think it's a trap? Cyril stared at the signal. I think something just woke up, and our only key to it is a half-human girl who talks in light. Raya's vision that night, Raya dreamed. But it wasn't a dream. She floated in darkness. Voices whispered. Some sounded like her mother, others like screams underwater. A shape formed before her, a figure with no face. Made of shifting metal and memory. You are not ready, it said. I must be, Raya answered. You carry both light and noise. That is dangerous. I don't want war, but war follows you. Then the shape stepped back and showed her something. A world empty, clean, perfect. Then it shattered into fire. The arrival back on Gelner 3. The next morning came too fast. Liara boiled water over a portable stove. Her hands shook. Raya walked into the room, her face pale. I saw something, a future, a warning. Before Liara could respond, the ground shook. A shadow passed over the station. They ran outside. A large ship hovered above the hills, black, silent, smooth like a whale in the sky. No lights. No name. It didn't land. It waited. Then a voice boomed from nowhere. Send the hybrid. Raya stepped forward without fear. The conversation with the unknown. A beam of light pulled Raya upward. Liara screamed. But it was too fast. One moment, she was there. The next, gone into the sky. Inside the ship, Raya stood alone. No walls. No controls. Just stars all around her. A shape appeared. Not Thesari. Not human. It shimmered like glass and sound. We watched your mind, it said. We see your balance. Raya stayed calm. I didn't ask to be this. You were made by accident. But now, you are a question. Then answer me, Raya said. Why did the Thesari take me? The shape pulsed. They believed in control. But the code was not theirs to use. They touched fire without knowing how to hold it. Raya's voice hardened. Can I stop it? Yes, but you will need to break. Break what? Your limits. Return and realization. The beam returned Raya to the ground. She fell to her knees, eyes wide, breathing hard. Liara rushed to her. What happened? They tested me, she said. They asked if I was ready to break. What does that mean? I don't know yet. But we're not alone anymore. Something is watching from behind every wall, every signal. It's older than anything, and it doesn't trust us. Liara held her close. Then we make it trust us. Raya whispered, or we make it afraid. Earth sends a strike team hours later. A stealth cruiser arrived above Gel NAR-3. Commander Cyril landed with 10 armed soldiers. They surrounded the station before sunrise. Liara stepped out, hands raised. You're making a mistake. Cyril didn't blink. That's not a child anymore. That's an unknown technology. You should have reported in. She's not a weapon, Liara said. That's not your decision. Behind them, the sky rumbled. Lightning cracked though. No clouds had formed. Machines hidden under the soil began to rise. Ancient ones, awakened by the signal. They didn't attack. They just watched. The final warning. Raya walked calmly through the line of soldiers. She stood between her mother and Commander Cyril. Her green eye glowed brighter than ever. I gave them my voice, she said. They gave me a warning. What warning? Cyril asked. If Earth touches the code again without understanding it, the stars will fall. The machines behind her began to hum one by one. Cyril raised her hand. The soldiers didn't fire. They waited. Raya turned and placed her hand on one of the machines. It shut down. So did the others. Silence again. Ending scene. Part 4 close. Later that night, Leora recorded a private message. To Reyes. To the man who stayed behind. If you can hear this, she's changing the galaxy. I don't know what she is, but I know she's still our daughter. She's the bridge. She looked up at the stars, some blinking softly. One blinked twice. Was it him? Was it a response? No one knew, but the signal still pulsed in the background. Slow, soft, not just alive. Watching. Waiting. The stars blinked cold and distant, but on the dark planet below, something burned bright. Commander Elias Reyes stood at the edge of the crater. His armor, once bright and shining, was now dull and scarred. His movements were slower, heavier. The scars on his face told stories no one else could hear. He was not the man who had left Earth 9 years ago. He was something else. The memory, years ago, after the fight in the city of Shalmor, Reyes had been changed. The strange sphere he had touched deep underground had marked him. His body now carried a part of the ancient code. At first, it was like a whisper in his mind, a feeling of power, a connection. But that power grew inside him. It changed his thoughts, his feelings. Sometimes he felt like he was watching himself from far away, like the code inside him wanted to take over. The present Reyes knelt near a shallow pool of water. He looked into it and saw not only his reflection, but also strange symbols glowing beneath the surface. He ran his hand through the water, and the symbols shimmered, twisting into new shapes. A soft voice echoed in his mind. Balance is fragile. The bridge must hold. He clenched his fist. He had kept his promise. He had brought their daughter back. But at what cost? The arrival of Leora and Raya. Small shuttle landed near him. Leora stepped out first, holding Raya's hand. Reyes looked at his daughter. She was no longer a child. Her green eye glowed softly. She smiled at him. Father, she said. Reyes nodded. Come, there's much to explain. Inside the crater, the glowing structure from before was alive. It pulsed with a heartbeat. Reyes led them inside. Walls shifted colors, from blue to green to red. The air smelled like earth after rain. Reyes began to tell them the story. The merge. The Thazari wanted more than just my daughter. They wanted me too. The sphere changed me. It connected me to the planet. Now I am part machine, part code, and part human. Leora stared, her eyes wide. Can you leave? Reyes shook his head. I tried, but the planet holds me. If I go, the balance breaks. Raya's power. Raya stepped forward. My father carries the code. My mind is linked to his. We are a bridge. We can control the planet's power. Leora felt hope. But are you safe? Raya looked at her mother. We are strong. But enemies come. The threat suddenly, alarms echoed. The ground shook. Outside, ancient machines awoke. The same ones Raya had shut down before. They marched toward the crater. Reyes drew his weapon. We must fight. The battle. Reyes moved with strength beyond human. His armor glowed with energy. Raya used her powers. She sent pulses of light that disabled machines. Leora watched, heart pounding. The Marines joined the fight. Bullets and energy blasts lit the night. The turning point. A massive machine approached. Larger than the others. It crushed everything in its path. Reyes stepped forward. He reached out his hand. A wave of energy burst from him. The machine froze. Then exploded. Aftermath. The machine stopped moving. Silence fell. Reyes fell to his knees, exhausted. Leora helped him up. Raya smiled softly. We survived. The choice. Reyes looked at Leora and Raya. I cannot leave this place, but I will protect you. Liara nodded. We will find a way. Raya hugged her father. We are not alone. Ending scene, part 5 close. The stars shone brighter. Planet hummed softly. Reyes stood on the crater's edge, watching the sky. He was no longer just human. He was something new, something powerful, something ready for the future. The ground trembled beneath their feet. The sky was dark and heavy with clouds. Lightning flashed across the horizon. But this was no normal storm. It was the planet itself waking up. Liara stood beside Reyes and Raya, watching as the land around them began to change. The first signs, the cracked soil started to glow faint green, like veins lighting up beneath the surface. Trees that were dead for years suddenly sprouted fresh leaves. Strange flowers bloomed, glowing softly in the dark. Reyes placed his hand on the ground. It's responding to us, he said quietly. The connection is growing stronger. Raya's green eye brightened. The planet feels alive. But it is nervous, like an animal sensing danger. Liara's heart beat faster. We need to understand it, before it decides we are threats. A new energy, the glowing structure in the crater, pulsed faster. Lights inside the walls blinked in a rhythm that matched Raya's heartbeat. Suddenly, the whole place shook. Liora stumbled, but Reyes caught her. What is happening? She asked. The planet is changing, Reyes said. It's reacting to the code in us. The link is growing beyond control. Raya closed her eyes. I hear voices, she whispered. Not just the Thesari, something older, deeper. The network awakens deep underground. A hidden web of living metal stirred. It had been asleep for centuries. Now it stretched like roots, touching every part of the planet. Data flowed through it, not like any computer network on Earth, but alive. Thoughts, memories, feelings traveled through the web. Raya connected with it. She became the mind of the planet. She saw its history, the battles, the pain, the hope buried in the soil. The warning suddenly. The planet's voice filled Raya's mind. You carry the code of the past and the future. Beware those who seek to control. They bring destruction. Raya opened her eyes. We are not alone, she said. Liara looked at her daughter. Who is coming? The arrival of the Thesari fleet far above the planet. Ships appeared. Thousands of Thesari warships surrounded the atmosphere. Their leader, High Commander Jiren, communicated through the network. Return the child, or face destruction. Reyes stepped forward. They don't understand. Raya is not just a child. She is the key. Liara gripped his arm. We need a plan. Preparing for war, the Marines armed themselves. Liara worked with the scientists to understand the network. Raya trained her powers, learning to control the planet's energy. Reyes walked the battlefield, calm but ready. The planet itself seemed to fight with them. Plants growing to block enemy paths, rocks rising to form walls. The first battle, the Thesari ships attacked. Energy beams cut through the sky. Explosions lit the dark clouds. Raya stood at the crater's edge. She raised her hands. Green light burst from her fingers, creating shields that stopped the blasts. Reyes led the Marines against enemy ground forces. His strength was beyond human. His armor glowed. Liora watched, amazed and terrified. The turning point, a massive Thesari warlord appeared on the battlefield. He challenged Reyes. Their fight shook the ground. Reyes moved with skill and power. But the warlord was strong. Raya joined, sending waves of energy that weakened the enemy. Together, they defeated him. The Thesari fleet retreated. After the battle, the planet calmed. The network hummed softly. Raya fell to her knees. Exhausted. Liora helped her up. We won today, Reyes said. But the war is not over. A new understanding. Liara spoke to the scientists. We must learn to live with this planet, not control it. Raya nodded. I am its voice. But it is also mine. Reyes looked to the horizon. we protect the bridge. No matter what comes. Ending scene, part 6 close. The stars shone above the planet. The wind carried the sound of life returning. The planet was waking up. And so were its guardians. Together, they stood ready for the future. The stars were quiet. The night was still, but something new was happening on the planet below. Liora stood on a cliff, watching the soft green glow coming from the forests and rivers. The planet was alive, breathing in ways no one had ever seen. Beside her, Reyes and Raya prepared for what was next. A new beginning. It's time. Reyes said, "We can't just defend the planet anymore. We need to reach out." Raya nodded. "I have a way to connect." Leora looked at her daughter. "You mean to the other worlds?" "Yes," Raya said. "To those who watch us from far away." The connection inside the glowing structure. Raya placed her hands on a smooth panel. Her green eye brightened. She sent a pulse of light into the network. Across the stars, signals moved like waves on a sea. From distant planets, eyes watched. Unknown ships answered back. First, contact. A small ship landed nearby. From it stepped an alien, tall, with silver skin and deep blue eyes. He looked at Raya and spoke. "We have watched your struggle." Raya smiled softly. "We want peace." The alien nodded. "But peace is fragile." The warning. The alien told them stories of other worlds, planets lost to war, civilizations destroyed by fear. He warned that the code in Raya could change everything for good or for bad. Liora asked, "How do we keep it safe?" The alien's eyes grew serious. "By trust, by understanding." Building alliances. Raya and Leora worked with the alien and his people. They shared knowledge. They taught about the planet's network. In return, they learned about the galaxy beyond. Reyes trained the soldiers to protect the planet and its new friends. A new threat, but not all were happy. Far away, enemies watched the signals. They saw the bridge between worlds as a danger. They sent ships to destroy the connection. The skies filled with fire again. The final battle. The planet's guardians stood firm. Raya's powers grew stronger. She reached out with her mind. The planet answered. Vines and rocks moved as weapons. The aliens fought alongside humans. Reyes led the charge, fighting with a strength beyond human. Victory and loss. The enemy was pushed back, but not without cost. Many soldiers and allies were lost. Leora held Raya's hand. "We will rebuild." Raya looked up. "We are the bridge now." The future. The planet thrived. The network spread carefully. New alliances formed across the stars. Reyes stood with Leora and Raya. "We made it." Raya smiled. "And the bridge is strong." Closing scene. Under the stars, the three looked to the sky. A new chapter had begun. The bridge between worlds was no longer a secret. It was a promise. A future where humans and aliens could stand together.